friends! So today I'm here to share with you all of the books that I read in the month of June. Got 15 of them to get through, so let's go ahead and get started. To start off the month, I read Misadventures with My Ex by Shayla Black. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. This is about a woman who, on the anniversary of the day her fiance left her at the altar, or they were supposed to get married, one of those two, he comes back into her life with the information that he is now the owner of the building that her restaurant is in, and that her restaurant has to close down for, like, construction purposes. So he comes up with a deal that if she will come be his mistress, he will, like, pay her employees so that she doesn't lose them in the time that she's closed. And over the course of being his mistress, they fall back in love. And, like, this was so short. And I wanted the story to flow more naturally. This was so rushed because it is so short. These Misadventures books are, like, 200. This one was actually 215 pages, which I wanted more from it. It was a good story. I enjoyed the writing. I definitely will pick up some more Shayla Black. I needed more from this story. The next book I read was The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. I did really enjoy this one. I am new to the historical romance genre, but I did really enjoy this. This is about Emma, who is a seamstress, and she has been commissioned to make this high-profile wedding dress for a woman that's going to marry a duke. And then the wedding gets called off, and Emma goes to the duke's estate, I guess would be the term. She goes to his estate in the wedding dress. He's trying to figure out how he's going to get married to, I think there's something for the inheritance situation. I don't know. Again, it's all kind of new for me. But he's trying to figure out how he can get married. She shows up in a wedding dress. He comes up with this, like, bargain that he will take care of all of her expenses if she will marry him and produce an heir. Something that I really like about the historical romances that for some reason I guess I just didn't expect it, and I don't know why I didn't, but Emma is a no-nonsense woman. She is not gonna have you, like, being married to her and come into her room at night and not, like, be a friend, at least. And then the feelings grow from there. And I loved this one. I would definitely pick up more Tessa Dare. I think she's one of the ones that I hear about a lot. So I think there's lots of options for picking up more Tessa Dare. But I definitely will. Next I read Intercepted by Alexa Martin. I actually gave this one 4 stars. This one surprised me. I don't know what the series is called, but this is the first in the series, and the synopsis of the second one is actually what I was interested in. But I wanted to read this one first so that I would know the characters in the second one, which I still haven't picked up. So this is about Marley, who has been the girlfriend of an NFL player for 10 years. And she's got to do everything that the wife of an NFL player would do, like the charity work and the social meetings and all that kind of stuff. She's got to do all of that the wives have to do, but they always kind of, like, make her, like, you're not really a wife, you're a girlfriend kind of thing. And she, after 10 years, she finds out that her boyfriend has been cheating on her, and so she leaves him. But his team has recently acquired somebody that she had a one-night stand with years previously, and she doesn't want to date an NFL player anymore, but he pursues her, and they become friends, and then the feelings grow from there. And I don't think I would have rated this 4 stars had the conflict not been she needed to find out who she was on her own, away from a guy, away from the NFL scene or whatever. I loved that. She was like, I like you, but I can't be with you because I don't know who I am as a person, as a single person. I don't know who I am. And I really enjoyed that. So 4 stars for this. Definitely will be picking up the second one, hopefully soon. The next book I read was Hang Tough by Lorelei James, part of the Blacktop Cowboy series. I say it every time. I don't know what number it is. I gave this one 3 stars. This one is about Tobin and Jade, and Tobin has lived in, was it Muddy Gap. Yeah, Tobin has lived in Muddy Gap, the town in these books, I think for all of his life, basically. And he's always kind of seen as the good guy, and the one who'll do anything, the one you can call on. And he thinks that that has hindered him in the, like, love department, because everybody sees him as a friend, and nobody wants to date him because he's such a good guy. So he steps in to help one of the older ladies in town because she thinks that her son is trying to move her into like a nursing home facility. And so he steps in to prove that she is perfectly fine to live on her own. And her granddaughter comes and like to spy almost for the son who wants to send her to the facility. Granddaughter shows up. Tobin, like, is attracted to her. And he's, like, she doesn't know that I'm such a good guy. And I can be whoever I want to be. And all this stuff. And that was my issue with it. Like, if people, I don't know how to describe this. But, like, he was like, they see me as the good guy. But that's not what I am. And I'm like, but you are. Like, you are, though. Like, you've put off your life in order to move in with this elderly lady to do something for her. Like, you are a good guy, but, like, you don't want to be. So, like, why? I don't know. I had issues with Tobin in this one. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite. We'll get to that one in a little bit. Next up, I read The Rest of the Story by Sarah Dessen. I gave this one 5 stars. Sarah Dessen has my whole heart. Like, my whole heart. She has it. I love her books. So, like, oof. 5 stars. 5 stars. Loved it. This is about Emma, who has her summer planned out. Her father and new stepmother are going on a honeymoon for, like, I think it was, like, 6 weeks. She's going to spend the summer at one of her best friends, and everything is going to be, they're going to get boyfriends and all this kind of stuff. But her friend's family ends up having like a medical emergency and she's got to leave town. So Emma doesn't know what she's going to do for summer now, and she ends up convincing her dad to let her go to her mother's side of the family, lives at this lake. She convinces her dad to let her go spend time with her mother's side of the family, who she doesn't really know because her mother had some addiction issues and has passed away, so she doesn't really know her mother's side of the family all that much. So she goes and she kind of learns more about what happened, like, when her mother was growing up, what happens, like, when she had been there at the lake when she was little, because she has been there before, she just doesn't remember it. And I loved it. I love Sarah Dessen. I love it so much. The last one, her last book was a little iffy for me. It wasn't quite a 5-star, but this one definitely was. I enjoyed it so much. If you are into YA contemporary, Sarah Dessen is your person. Next up, we went from a 5-star to a 2-star, and that was Waiting for Tom Hanks by Carrie Winfrey. Oh, this book. This is about, what even was her name? Annie. This is about Annie, who is obsessed with romantic comedies. And I had heard that in the description, but I don't think I realized how obsessed with romantic comedy she was. Everything. Like, her relationship, she compared to a romantic comedy. Her family situation, she compared to a romantic comedy. Her best friend, she compared to a romantic comedy. Everything she talked about was a romantic comedy. I wanted her to care about anything. Anything. Just one other thing other than a romantic comedy. Don't, like, one sentence come out of your mouth that's not comparing something to a romantic comedy or talking about your romantic comedy that you're writing. Just, like, anything. Like, even her best friend, she was writing a romantic comedy based on her best friend's life. Best friend didn't know that. What? Like, this book made me so frustrated. Like, I wonder, if I were to ever reread it, which I'm not, I'm probably not even going to keep it. If I were to reread it, how many times do you think rom-com or romantic comedy was written in this book? It was so frustrating. So frustrating. Anyway, 2 stars. Didn't enjoy this one. Not gonna keep it. Next I read Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I gave this one 4.5 stars. This is about Georgie, who did not go into her family's business, and so she is always kind of seen as kind of the, clown. She was a clown. She's always kind of seen as the clown of the family, the not serious one. She's the baby, so they don't really, include her in discussions because she's not the adult one. Georgie enlists the help of Travis, who is her brother's best friend and a retired MLB player who has come home due to an injury, and started working for her family's business as a kind of way to keep busy. But Georgie asks him for help to make her family see her as, a serious person. So they start fake dating. Travis needs her help because he's trying to get a broadcast job for a baseball team that he's had some scandalous stuff happen in the past, and he's got to kind of wipe over that image. So they're using each other in a fake relationship, and then they fall in love. And my issue with this is that it took too long to get to the fake relationship. I am all about the fake dating, and this one was halfway through by the time we got to that point, and I just wish that it had been more of that. So 4.5. Next I read Cold Hearted Boss by R.S. Gray. I gave this one 3.5 stars. This one is about a woman who I think she's got to take care of her mother and her sister because her mother has had some addiction problems that she's working her way through, so she can't really, keep a job, for a long period of time. But anyway, she's trying to provide for her mother and sister, and her cousin ends up finding out about this construction job that's coming to, I think it was an hour outside of town, and she pretends to be a guy and goes to this interview for this construction site, and nobody thinks that she's a guy, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, why did you even pretend to be a guy? I still don't quite understand that. I think it was just for the comedic value. But he was the owner of the construction company, is a guy who she kind of hooked up with before he had been in town, scouting the site. She kind of hooked up with him and stole his wallet. And so he, recognized her as this girl that did that to him. And he still hired her. They had to move into the same, bunkhouse because he didn't want her, sleeping in the same, rooms as all the other men who were construction workers. So they kind of had this, back and forth banter thing, and I really liked it. It was 3.5 stars for me. It was cute. It wasn't my favorite R.S. Gray, but I did really enjoy it. Next, I read Kissing Galileo, Dear Professor, Book 2 by Penny Reed. I didn't write down a rating. I'm trying to remember what I said the rating was going to be in my reading vlog. Probably a 3.5, I think is what I said. It's about Emily, who, in order to pay her way through college, is I guess it's a lingerie model kind of situation. And one day, while she's in her lingerie at work, this guy shows up, and it ends up being her professor from some type of research class or something. Anyway, I don't think he recognizes her. He doesn't recognize her at that point. But then, the next time they go to class, he recognizes her, and I liked it that he went through I like Penny Reed's, realistic approach. He went through all of the proper channels to make sure that he was attracted to her and that didn't interfere with her schoolwork. I really appreciated that. But I did really enjoy this. These are so short though, but they're nice, little Penny Reed, I don't know, candy bars almost. It's not a whole meal, but it's a little snack. I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, next I read Third Base by Heidi McLaughlin. This is, I believe, the first book in the Boys of Summer series. It might not be. I honestly don't care. I am not going to read any more from this series. I gave this one 2 stars. This is told from the perspective of Ethan, a Major League Baseball player who was literally a child. Like, he was the most annoying, whiny, bleep of a person. Ethan is a Major League Baseball player. He sees this girl sitting behind, like, sitting close to the field, and he like goes to get security to come bring her like wherever after the game, and they meet and he loves her, and then they fight because she was trying to be a grown-up. Anyway, they fight and he's all like, oh, I love her, but I'm gonna go hook up with my ex while we're out of town. And he didn't stop this situation. He had he was gonna do it, and then he said, I think her name is Daisy. I don't know. Like, I don't even know at this point. He said her name, and the ex stopped the situation. He was gonna keep going. And I was like, you are a child. You are not old enough for a mature, like, you're not mature enough for a relationship. You need to, like, whatever. Didn't enjoy this. Not gonna continue on with the series. Next, I read Misadventures of a Curvy Girl by Sierra Simone. I gave this one, I wrote down 3 stars. I'll probably move it up to a 3.5. It was very good, very steamy, very, like, relevant as a plus-size girl. Like, those feelings were very relevant. This is about Ireland, who is a plus-size woman who goes to the middle of nowhere to do a, like, I think she's photographing for a tourism website or magazine or something. She ends up getting stranded and meets this guy who offers to let her stay with him while her car is fixed. There's supposed to be a bad storm, all that kind of stuff. She is attracted to him, he is attracted to her, but he lives with this other man who they have kind of a polyamorous thing happening where if one of them is attracted, the other one has to be there too. So she goes and she meets the other guy, and the 3 of them fall in love. And something, I don't even remember, something happened. And, like, the world kind of finds out, and she gets a call from people that she used to be close to that she's not anymore, and she runs away from the 2 guys because she doesn't think that she is worthy of their love as a plus-size woman. And that's kind of where I'm talking about the relative part of it. And it was very good. I did enjoy it. 3.5 stars. Next, I read my favorite from the Lorelei James Blacktop Cowboy series, and that is Turn and Burn. I gave this one 4 stars. This is about Fletch, who's been the veterinarian in all the other books so far. And I think you pronounce her name Tana. Tana's gotta be right. She is a barrel racer who, due to an injury, she is kind of, like, scared to get back on the horse. So she comes to the town of Muddy Gap to work, and they end up meeting, like, before they know who the other is. They end up meeting and having a one-night stand, and then she leaves and heads to her new job, but they end up meeting up again and hooking back up and starting a relationship, and I love this one so much. Fletch deserves the world. He deserves the world. He's been in all the books so far, and I've loved him. Tana deserves the world. I really liked her. She was a very strong female character. 4 stars. Next up, I read Rainy Day Friends by Jill Shalvis. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. This one is about Lainey, whose husband has died within the past year, and she has recently found out that he had many wives. So she sells their home, moves into another little home, like, finds a different job. She ends up taking this, like, 2-month temporary job. She moves to this family-run winery. She starts to form a relationship with this family, and especially one of the sons, and who is a single dad, and she really, like, spends a lot of time with his daughters. And then this other younger woman shows up named River. This other younger woman named River shows up, and like we knew as the reader, we knew that this was one of the dead husband's other wives, but she didn't know that. And this was so good. I really wanted to give this one a higher rating, but one of the other kind of like, that sounds awful, like strays that the family has taken in is this young man who is in the military, and he and River kind of have like a flirtation thing, or he has a flirtation thing. River's not about it, but you can kind of tell she is. And then, like, in the epilogue, he shows back up from being overseas and they kiss. And I was like, no, I want more of that relationship. I need that to be fleshed out a little bit better. So that's why I knocked it down to 3.5. I did really enjoy it. We'll continue on. I don't think this is a series. But I will continue to read the Jill Shabbos books that I own because I do really enjoy them. Next up, I read Justified by Jay Crownover, and it's got the It's All About That Cowboy novella. I read that as well. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. This is about Case and Aspen. Aspen is a lawyer. Case is the, I think, newly appointed sheriff in the town. And Aspen is the lawyer that caused his ex-wife to get primary custody of their son. This had been years previously. Because the son is already old enough to have made his own decision about who he wanted to live with, and he lives back with his dad now. But Case has always kind of had like a bad feeling about her, I guess you would say. Like, he blames her for his son being taken away and everything. But Aspen is in trouble now. There have been quite a few attempts on her life. So he moves her into his house so that he can make sure she's protected. And things didn't really get steamy. Things didn't really get steamy right away. They could have, but they didn't. But they do eventually, and it was so good. I don't even know how to describe it. You should just buy it and read. And finally, the last book I read this month was Misadventures of the First Daughter by Meredith Wild and Mia Michelle. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really, really, really enjoyed this one. This has probably been my favorite of the Misadventures books that I've read so far. This is about Charlotte, who is obviously the daughter of the President of the United States, and her security detail, I think is the term for Secret Service, her security guard, Zane, who they kind of have like this flirtation thing, and if it had been a full-length novel, I would have liked to have seen more of the backstory of how those feelings developed, but not going to complain about this one because I thought it was actually very well written enough that I understood those feelings were there. But they kind of have a flirtation, and then it's his night off, and he is a sexual dominant. So he goes to this club that he attends, that he frequents on his days off. He goes to this club, and one of her friends convinces her to sneak out and go to this club. I'm not really 100% sure that the friend knew what was going on at this club, but she kind of seemed to know a little bit about what was happening. But Zane sees Charlotte there, and he is like, wait a minute, is she down for this? But yeah, they start kind of a dom-sub relationship, and they're trying to keep it to sex, but it becomes more than that, and it was very good. 4 stars. Really enjoyed this one. Would actually like to know if you guys have any more kind of books kind of following this, where it's a, I guess kind of like a security guard, but then like the dom-sub relationship. Yeah, if you guys have anything that's similar, let me know. So those are the books that I read during the month of June. How did you guys do? I think I'm actually up like 30 books on my Goodreads challenge, so woo! Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Bye.